So I very much wish I had a tripod right now. I'm gonna give you guys just a quick little tutorial for cleaning sand dollars. So I have two containers. Both of them have about the same amount of bleach, about 25% bleach in the water. 25 to 50, you're fine. If your sand dollars are really dark, I would do closer to 50, and if they're not super dark, you can do 25. The difference is you're just going to leave them in maybe a little bit longer, but they can be left in for a while without harming them, except for the little bitties. What I like to do is I like to start with my tiny little sand dollars. These are from another trip, I believe Dickman's, but do not quote me on that. But these are kind of, I like to call them silver dollars. So silver dollars or half dollars, because that's about the size that they are. When you are looking for sand dollars, there's so many people that will try to say that a sand dollar is alive, but unless they are moving, they're not. So this sand dollar looks like it was alive, but it was up on the rack line completely dried out. So if they're completely dried out, or if you find them when they still look dark, and you flip them over and see that their feet are no longer on the bottom, yes, you can still see that velvet of their little hairs on the top, but on the bottom, they're completely gone. You'll know that they are no longer alive. The same thing with this. So some people will say, oh, it's dark, it's alive. It's not. It doesn't have any of the little hairs on it left at all. So hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of how to tell if your sand dollars are alive or not. I do have other videos how to tell sand dollars are alive, so I'll go ahead and link that so you guys can see. And right now we're gonna go ahead and get started with these. You really just wanna have enough bleach to cover them. And I just kind of let them sink to the bottom. With the darker sand dollars, I'll show you a trick that will help you get them a lot more white. But for these guys, I just kind of push them under the water. You guys can see, like, I put these in a bag the same way. Actually, I believe when I brought these home, I did my box method where I found a cockle shell bivalve that was still intact and put them all together in that. But you can clearly see that they all made it home totally fine. There's little baby ones. All right, so one of the reasons I tell people that I like to do my small sand dollars in a different container is because they will bleach very quickly. Like, depending on the strength of your bleach, sometimes you can literally watch them bleach before your eyes. So I want to make sure I don't leave them in too long, because these will break. These will just break in the bleach if it's left in too long. So I'm just going to keep my eye on those while they're cooking. The rest of them are going to go in the bigger bleach bath. So this Mondo sand dollar is not the prettiest, but we're gonna try to get it nice and cleaned up. So go in order from the biggest to smallest. So if you have some decent sized sand dollars, you're going to put them on the bottom and then put the smaller ones on the top. So a tip for you guys, these are mostly bleached out. These are all pretty well bleached. You can see this one still has some dark. So what I like to do is flip them upside down, and you'll see that the bubbles are coming out. So the air is coming out, the bleach is going in. So that's gonna really help with being able to bleach the sand dollar fully. All right, so out of all of the sand dollars, only two were a little bit broken. There was one under there with a chip, and then this one broke a little bit on the edge. But overall, I have no problem getting my sand dollars home safely in my shell bag every single time. I don't have a problem. Okay, as far as the shells go, I get two containers. You can use buckets, you can use jars, you can use whatever you want. These are actually dog treat containers, but this one is just fresh water. This one has some bleach in it. And I always tell people, if you're gonna be using bleach, make sure you have old clothes on, or clothes that you don't mind if you accidentally splash bleach on. I always cover, like I'm using the table out here, but I'm gonna go ahead and cover it with a white towel, like just an old towel, that it doesn't matter if any bleach gets on the towel. With my shell bags, usually my shells are really clean as far as not sandy by the time I get home. but I always like to do a freshwater rinse on them just because sometimes there'll be sand up in the shell. You can see the sand here. Even though I like rinsed it in my bag, you can still see sand in the shell. So I put a bunch of shells in the bottom of my container, and then I just give them a shake, and then I just check them over. And if they look good and they don't look like they need bleach and they don't look like they need any other attention such as barnacles or anything scrubbing, I go ahead and lay them on the towel. So I just go through and do that with all of the shells. I just give them a shake, try to get all the sand out, lay them on the towel. So like this cone has got some barnacles on it. It still has some of the periostracum on it. So this one, I'm gonna shake it clean, and then it's gonna go right in the bleach. So anything that has barnacles, bleach removes barnacles really well. This one has a little shell in there, so I kind of just set these off to the side because these are shells that I need to, quote, work on. If they've got anything that I need to kind of pick out or pick off. Here's a nice big turkey wing. Here's another cone, so it's got a little shell in there, so I'll put that down. I like to get the shells out as much as I can. It's not a big deal, but I just use like a dental pick or a small screwdriver to go through and get those little shells out. Got a big banded tulip here. Oh, got little shells falling out of that one. Look how big that is. Good gracious. And I just continue with this until all the shells are clean. All right, we're checking back in on the sand dollars. It's only been maybe like 10 minutes, and you can already see how these little ones are bleaching very quickly. So what I like to do is I like to take another shell. You can use your finger, but just I don't like to get bleach on my hands if I don't have to. And just like pancakes, you're gonna flip them. So any ones that you see that are dark on the top or the bottom, you're just gonna flip them over, just like a pancake. Just like that. So another little tip, and this is certainly not, any type of requirement, but if you're planning on sorting shells at some point, putting them into jars, using them for craft projects, while you're cleaning, it's really helpful to sort them by type. So I'll just organize them on towel, coral and conchs and olives and cones and murexes and whatnot. So that way you kind of have them all separated for the next stage of cleaning or sorting. Also, you guys are gonna have to let me know if you think this Junonia or Junonia chunk, depending on how you guys vote on it, if you think I should clean it up and get all these barnacles off or leave it. I'm kind of inclined a little bit to clean up some of the barnacles and kind of make her as pretty as possible, but you'll have to let me know. I'm gonna keep it outside of the bleach bath until you guys give me a vote on that. So most of the shells are clean and sorted. I still have a few that are getting a little bleach bath. I wanted to show you the container, my rinse container, of how much sand came out of the shells. So on one hand, it's a little bit impressive that this is only the amount of sand that came out. Thankfully, with my shell bag, I'm able to rinse the shells really well before I leave the beach, so that lessens the workload when I get home. On the other hand, this is still a decent amount of sand that would have been stuck in your shells had you not rinsed them out. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump this out and get some more fresh water, and then we are going to rinse some sand dollars. Okay, this part is pretty easy. So I have the sand dollars in the bleach water. I usually put on a nitrile or latex glove for this, but I don't have one right now, so I'm just gonna go really quick. So what I do is I take them and put them in the fresh water. I kind of do this just as quickly as I can because I don't want a ton of bleach on my hands, but just set them in there. Don't drop them in, because if they fall and they land on their side, they're going to crack, and that's not going to be good. So I just set them in the bleach water. And I'm gonna leave this Mondo one for last because he's not gonna fit in my bleach water container. So now I have all the sand dollars in here. So I'm gonna take them and hold them this way. So the mouth side down, and I'm just gonna do a little shake. And what this is doing is it's not only rinsing all of the bleach off, but it's also gonna clean the sand out from inside the sand dollar. So I'll show you how much sand is left in the container when we're done. And then once they're all clean, I just put them on. You can use paper towels or a towel. So this one, if you can see, it's kind of dark. That is not the shell, that is sand inside. So what I do is I, again, hold it very carefully and shake it in the water. And you guys will be able to see that it lightened up quite a bit just by shaking and getting some of that sand out. So this one too, you can see how it's a little bit dark. You can see all this here is sand. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a good shake and get all that sand out. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see the actual sand on here that's coming out as I shake it. So there is sand in there, but it is coming out. It's almost gone. Another couple little shakes should do it. I can usually shake better with a bigger container, but this will work for now. So you can see how much better that looks. And I'm just gonna continue doing this with the rest of them. So for the sand dollars, once they were all bleached, I rinsed them really well, let them dry, and then I just coated them with some Elmer's glue. So I like to mix my Elmer's glue with a little bit of water. So I do 20 to 30% water, and then just paint them on. I'm a makeup artist, so I use a makeup brush, but any soft brush will do. And I do quite a few coats of them to get them to be nice and solid. So especially these little ones, these break so easily, but once you get a couple coats of glue on there, they'll hold together much better, and you won't have to worry so much about just touching them and having them crumble. So here's all the little ones, and then we got some big ones over here. So the last step of my shell cleaning process, even though now the shells are all clean, is to oil them. So I do have another YouTube video on oiling that I will link in the top, but it's very simple. Mineral oil is all you need. So this is just the Walmart brand of mineral oil. And you can use any brush you want. This is just a makeup brush, but you can use any brush you want. And I wish I had my tripod, but I don't. So I just take a little bit on my brush. Scallops are one of the, most fun shells in my opinion to oil because the colors really come out nice and bright. But I like to do this on a towel, and you're just pretty much gonna brush on your oil. And you don't have to get them like super, super saturated. Ooh, look at that. Look how bright the zigzags showed up on there. These rough scallops always oil up really nice too, as well as these base scallops. So let me just get a little bit more oil on there. I'm sorry, I usually don't do this with one hand, but for video purposes. This pretty calico scallop. Ooh, that's gonna be so pretty. And just to give you an idea, you can see like how it just brings out the color so nicely. So once I kind of paint some oil on the shells, I like to use just a towel or a washcloth, and I'll just kind of rub the oil in like that. So you don't want a whole bunch of excess oil. You don't want them to be oily, so to speak, but you want the oil to just be enough that it brings out the color and gives a little bit of shine. So that's what I do to all of them. I'll just kind of rub some oil on with the towel, just kind of to get it all around and kind of help it rub in a little bit. So that way they're not, see how this one's kind of like drippy with oil? We don't want that. So we'll just rub it all in. Like I said, I usually do this with 2 hands, and then you're all done. So just to give you guys an idea, all of these alphabet cones have been cleaned, all the barnacles removed, any shells in the aperture have been taken out, and they have been lightly oiled, and you can see just how much more vibrant they are in color with a little bit of oil on them. Like, look how pretty. Look at the variety. I love the dark ones. I love the ones that are kind of two-tone. They're just all so super pretty. And then here's your little rose mirexes. They always oil up super pretty too. King crowns. So this just hopefully gives you guys an idea of how bright and pretty the shells can be with just a little bit of oil. I know there's a few Gaudy Nautica fans that are watching. Look at this really pretty one. This is cracked, but it's so light and pretty. I don't know, I'm kind of torn between the super light ones and the super dark ones, but super pretty. I just love them. And here is a quick glimpse of some really pretty true tulips. Some of these I am re-oiling. They do eventually need re-oiling, but it's not very often, but I like to do that just to keep them nice and bright. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can comment below or email me at virtualshelling@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your support and for subscribing. We also have a brand new Instagram page and a brand new Facebook page. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, please be sure to give us a like and a follow. Until next time, I wish you all a shelltastic day, and I will see you again soon.